They said she let a snake bite her arm. A serpent, hidden in a basket of figs, delivering the most famous death in history. But what if this was a lie? What if Cleopatra's death was not the slow whisper of poison, but the sharp hand of murder? It was August 30 BC. The Queen of Egypt, the last heir of the Ptolemaic dynasty, sat in her chamber inside the great mausoleum of Alexandria. Outside, the city trembled. The legions of Octavian, the man who would soon become Augustus Caesar, had conquered everything. Her fleet had burned. Her lover Mark Antony lay dead by his own sword. Egypt had fallen. The question that haunts history is this: did Cleopatra choose death, or was it chosen for her? The air in Alexandria was thick with smoke and betrayal. The once radiant queen, who had charmed Julius Caesar and commanded armies beside Mark Antony, was now a prisoner of her enemy. Octavian had promised her life, but not her throne. He planned to parade her through the streets of Rome, a chained trophy in his triumph. For Cleopatra, this was worse than death. But here the mystery begins. The official Roman story says she ended her life with a bite of an asp hidden in a basket of figs. Ancient writers like Plutarch and Cassius Dio repeat this tale. Yet their accounts differ in strange ways. Some say it was not a snake, but a poisoned pin hidden in her hair. Others whisper that Octavian himself arranged her death. Why would Rome want her dead? The answer lies in power. Cleopatra was not just a queen. She was a symbol. If she lived, she could stir Egypt, maybe even Rome, into rebellion. Octavian wanted no rivals. He wanted Egypt's gold, its grain, its gods, all under his control. A living Cleopatra was too dangerous. Imagine her final hours. The chamber is dim, the air heavy with incense. Two of her loyal servants, Charmian and Iras, remain by her side. The queen, did Roman soldiers enter the room, forcing an end the world would never question? We cannot be certain. Even the ancient accounts contradict each other. Some claim Octavian allowed her suicide as an act of mercy. Others insist he ordered her death, but spread the story of the asp to make it look honorable. What we do know is this. Cleopatra's body was found lying on a golden couch, her crown at her side, and the faint marks of poison on her skin. Iras was already dead. Charmian, struggling with her last breath, adjusted the queen's diadem and whispered, "It is well done, as befitting the descendant of so many kings." Then she too fell silent. But here's the first crack in the tale. A venomous snakebite is not a quick death. The venom of an asp can take hours to kill. The victim writhes, gasps, and suffers. Yet the accounts say Cleopatra died swiftly with dignity. That sounds less like snake venom and more like a fast-acting poison, something prepared in advance. And if it was poison, not a snake, then who prepared it? Cleopatra herself? Or Rome? The mausoleum doors closed that night on a mystery that has never been solved. The official story of the queen who embraced the serpent became legend. But behind the legend may lie the truth, a murder hidden in plain sight. And yet, this is only the beginning, because what followed Cleopatra's death was stranger still. Octavian entered the chamber, gazed upon her body, and spoke words no Roman emperor should have spoken. He called her noble. He ordered her buried beside Mark Antony. Why? Why show honor to the woman he had destroyed? Perhaps Octavian respected her courage, or perhaps he was hiding something. A cover-up, a secret that even Rome's first emperor dared not reveal. The asp's fangs or Caesar's dagger. The choice between suicide and murder would shape how history remembered Egypt's last queen. And the deeper we look, the more the official story begins to crumble. Because buried beneath the Roman lies are hints of a secret pact, forbidden poisons, and a plot that reached far beyond the walls of Alexandria. The truth of Cleopatra's end was too dangerous for Rome to admit. Which leaves us with one haunting question. What really killed the last queen of Egypt? The body of Cleopatra had barely grown cold when the rumors began. In the streets of Alexandria, whispers spread like wildfire. Some swore she had walked willingly into death, embracing the ASP like the goddess Isis returning to the underworld. Others swore it was a lie, that Roman hands had silenced her, that Octavian wanted her dead, but needed the world to believe she chose it herself. Why? Because if Cleopatra had been murdered, she would die a martyr. Egypt would rise. The East would see her as a victim of Roman cruelty. But if she had chosen death, then she was just a queen who had given up, too proud to be paraded through the streets of Rome. Control the story, and you control history. Plutarch, writing a century later, admits something strange. He says no snake was ever found. Not in the chamber. Not near the bodies. Not even in the figs that supposedly carried it. He even suggests that maybe, just maybe, Cleopatra carried poison with her all along. A poison she had tested carefully on her servants and prisoners. A poison strong enough to kill quickly, without pain. And yet, if she had this poison, why did she not use it earlier? Why wait until Octavian held Alexandria in his fist? Because perhaps the decision was not hers. Perhaps Octavian decided the moment she would die. Think of his position. Octavian was not yet the mighty Augustus, the first emperor of Rome. He was still fighting for legitimacy. Julius Caesar's heir, but with enemies in every corner of the republic. If Cleopatra lived, she could be used against him. Her charm, her brilliance, her bloodline, she was dangerous even in chains. And here lies the cruel brilliance of Rome. By letting the world believe Cleopatra killed herself, Octavian erased the stain of assassination. He looked merciful. He could even present her death as honorable, almost noble. But the truth? The truth had been buried with her body. There's another twist. Roman records say Cleopatra begged Octavian to let her be buried with Mark Antony. To this, he agreed. Why? Out of respect? Or because he wanted the world to believe in her tragic love story? A story so powerful that it would eclipse the darker truth. But look deeper. Cleopatra's tomb, where she and Antony were supposedly laid side by side, was sealed and lost to history. No one knows where it is. No body, no proof, no answers. Convenient, isn't it? And here's another riddle. Cleopatra had studied poisons for years. She had spoken with physicians, experimented with venoms, and even consulted Egyptian priests about the sacred uses of deadly herbs. She was not careless. If she chose poison, she chose it with precision. And yet the Romans describe her death as mysterious, even sudden, almost too sudden. Some historians believe she used a mixture, perhaps a needle dipped in hemlock or a potion of opium and aconite. A fast, clean death. Nothing like the messy bite of a serpent. Which raises the question, did Octavian allow her to use her own poison? Or did his men deliver it, ensuring her end came exactly as he wished? But there's one detail the Romans could never fully erase. A single eyewitness account that cracks the mask of their story. Charmian, Cleopatra's servant, was still alive when Octavian's soldiers burst in. Barely breathing, she was asked why she had done this. Her reply was chilling. It was fitting for a queen, the descendant of kings. And then she died. But what did she mean? That Cleopatra had chosen death? Or that she had been forced to take it, with her servants standing by to preserve her honor in the final act? We will never know. Yet, something in Octavian's behavior suggests guilt. He allowed Cleopatra's funeral rites to be carried out with dignity. He ordered her statues preserved. He did not destroy her memory, as Romans often did to their enemies. Instead, he let her legend grow. The beautiful queen who died for love. The serpent who would rather embrace death than be a slave. It was the perfect story. A story powerful enough to hide the truth. But history does not rest quietly. Across centuries, scholars and archaeologists have searched for Cleopatra's tomb, hoping to find the truth in her bones. A snakebite leaves marks. Poison leaves traces in the hair, in the teeth. If her body is ever found, science may prove what Rome tried to bury. Until then, the shadows of Alexandria keep their silence. The queen's death remains a performance staged by the victors, polished into legend. But behind the legend, the whispers never stop. Cleopatra did not simply die. She was erased. And yet, even erased, she still won. For 2,000 years later, the world remembers her, not Octavian, as the last true pharaoh of Egypt. But this story is not over. Because Cleopatra's death was not the end of her mystery. It was the beginning of a deeper one. A secret that has haunted archaeologists for centuries. A secret hidden beneath the sands of Egypt, waiting to be found. The secret of her missing tomb. The Romans recorded her death. They said she was buried with Mark Antony, her lover, her husband in spirit, if not in law. They said Octavian, future Augustus, granted her wish to lie beside him. But after that, silence. No tomb. No trace. No bones. Only whispers. Why? Because if Cleopatra's body was found, the truth of her death could be revealed. If she bore the marks of poison, the legend of the snake would collapse. If her body showed violence, Rome's lie would unravel. So perhaps Octavian ensured her grave would never be found. Perhaps he hid it deliberately, sealing the last queen of Egypt in eternal secrecy. Still, hope has never died. From the Renaissance to today, explorers, scholars, and dreamers have searched for her resting place. Libraries filled with maps, temples measured stone by stone, ruins dug inch by inch, all chasing the same question: where does Cleopatra sleep? Some believe her tomb lies in the royal quarter of Alexandria, the palace where she once ruled, where she entertained Caesar and Antony. But Alexandria has a secret. Much of the ancient city now rests beneath the Mediterranean Sea, swallowed by earthquakes and tides. If her tomb lies there, it may never be reached. Others point to a site far from the city, the Temple of Taposiris Magna, west of Alexandria. Here, archaeologists uncovered hidden chambers, mummies wrapped in gold leaf, and hints of a royal burial. Some even claim coins and statues of Cleopatra herself were found here. Could this temple be her final sanctuary? Dr. Kathleen Martinez, a Dominican archaeologist, believes it is. For 20 years, she has searched Taposiris Magna, convinced Cleopatra chose this place because of its link to Isis, the goddess she claimed as her divine protector. If true, Cleopatra may not lie in the heart of a ruined city, but in a temple, a priestess even in death. And yet, the tomb has never been found. The trail ends in shadows, as if history itself conspires to keep her hidden. Why does it matter? Why chase the bones of a queen dead for 2 millennia? Because if her tomb is found, the truth may finally be revealed. Modern science could test her remains. Did she die from snake venom? From poison? From a dagger? Or something darker? Murder in the name of Rome? Imagine it. The sarcophagus opened. The world watching. The mystery answered at last. But there is another reason. Cleopatra is more than a queen. She is a symbol. The last breath of Egypt's ancient glory. The last pharaoh, standing against the tidal wave of Rome. To find her tomb would not just solve a mystery. It would return her to history, not as a victim of Roman propaganda, but as a queen who shaped her own destiny. And yet, there's a cruel irony. Perhaps Cleopatra's greatest secret is meant to remain buried. Perhaps she wanted it this way. Think of her mind. She was not only a ruler, but a strategist. She knew how stories shape power. She knew how Rome would twist her image. What if she arranged her own burial in secrecy, ensuring her tomb would never be defiled, her body never paraded, her truth never stolen? What if the mystery itself was her final weapon? Because today, when we speak of Octavian, Augustus, we speak of him as Rome's first emperor, but cold, distant, remembered in statues and marble. When we speak of Cleopatra, we speak of passion, of fire, of brilliance, of tragedy. She lives in novels, in plays, in films, in dreams. She became eternal not because of how she lived, but because of how she died. And maybe that was her choice all along. Picture the scene one last time. A chamber lit with oil lamps. Cleopatra dressed as Isis, her crown gleaming, her eyes steady. Beside her, Charmian and IRAs loyal to the end. A vial of poison or a serpent hidden in figs. A decision no historian can prove. She takes her final breath. Rome believes it has won. Octavian writes the story his way. But centuries later, when Rome itself is dust, her name is still whispered. The queen who defied an empire. The queen whose death became a riddle. The queen who carried her secrets into eternity. Perhaps one day the sands of Egypt will give her back. Perhaps her tomb will open and the truth will finally rise. Or perhaps Cleopatra's secret will never be solved. Perhaps she wanted it that way, so that she would never belong to Rome, not in life, not in death. Until then, we are left with a mystery. The ASP or the assassin. The queen's choice or Rome's crime. The secret sleeps, waiting, and maybe, just maybe it always will.